Greetings Exiles, BullShifter here, back with another Path of Exile video. This is going to be kind of a two-part video. Just a couple things I wanted to cover here. One, essentially being a few settings and a few options that may or may not kind of help to improve your current gameplay. There's a lot of different variables it may be dependent on, some things that have worked for other people but haven't quite worked for others. So this may or may not help you in the short term. Some things that are definitely worth trying, and hopefully they do work for you. And if not, the second part of the video is essentially just a way that we can basically report these issues to Grinding Gears Games to hopefully get the game fixed in the long run, because I feel like one of the issues that may be happening with people reporting, the crashes and the latency issues and the desyncs and all the other issues in the game is the fact that the more I look at the forums, the more I realize that a lot of these posts aren't really coming in with a lot of frequency. There are a decent amount of them, but it seems like the console portion of the Path of Exile forums typically only get a few posts a day. So they may assume that because of the fact that they're only hearing from a handful of people every now and again that the problems that we're running into aren't, a real thing. And as long as we kind of take these steps that I'm going to show in this first portion of the video to, literally try pretty much everything in order to enhance our performance, and it still isn't working at that point, this is going to be the best route for us to take. So this first method, Kamal gets 100% credit for this method. This is his method, the reinstall, and then just making sure that you are on the closest server to you. So I just want to say that up front. For those of you who haven't checked out Kamal's channel, he also has a lot of excellent Path of Exile content, so definitely make sure to drop by there and subscribe to his channel as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and essentially show you, how you can, basically go ahead, reinstall the game, and get on that closest server to you instead of having the game choose it for you automatically. So from your dashboard, obviously when you're hovering over the game, you can hit start from right there and just select delete. So that'll remove the game from your library, and then from there, if you want to go ahead and go over to your game library once that's deleted, if you go down into your purchased section, that's actually going to show you everything that you've ever downloaded, even things that have been free, PlayStation Plus, whatever. You can scroll down to Path of Exile from there and just select it and re-download it. So that would be the first step. And then once you go ahead and you've re-downloaded the game, at that point, when you're at this title screen, if you hit triangle to go to options, this first option here, Gateway, this is going to show you all the available servers. So this is everywhere that Grinding Gears Games currently has a server. So you can essentially just go ahead and select the server that's closest to you. Otherwise, the game itself is going to auto-choose a server that it believes is closest to you, which it may not be picking the correct server for you. As you can see, there's not a ton of servers to choose from. I have a theory that this may be one of the issues that we're running into. I'm in Wisconsin, so the three closest servers to me are Washington, D.C., Texas, and California. Washington, D.C. is technically the closest to me. However, Washington, D.C. is still a few states away from me. It's not really all that close, so I do almost wonder if location is playing a factor in my connectivity to the server. So that's essentially the first step. Kamal's made a couple of videos about that, so again, I just wanted to credit him with that theory. It has seemed to have helped some people, so that is the first route that I would take. Another route, there actually are a few settings within the game itself. If you turn off screen shake, it's not a huge difference, but I have noticed a little bit of improvement since taking that off. And obviously having your loot filters down so there's not as many items cluttering your screen, that can help as well. So just a couple of things that you can do with the in-game options that will, hopefully end up helping out your performance overall. Now, beyond that, so say you do those things and you're still running into issues. There are still a few more options for you that you can do. So one, for example, if you go into your settings, you can try installing this on some sort of external hard drive. For those of you who may not be familiar, you can actually set up an external hard drive as long as it has USB 3.0 to your PlayStation 4. This applies to the PlayStation Pro and standard PlayStation 4 models. So once you insert your extended storage device. You can go ahead and format it. Once it's formatted, you can actually hit start to set it as your application install location. If you decide you just want to move it over as opposed to re-downloading it, you can always go into your applications, scroll down to the application that you want to move. Probably already passed it here. I was right at the top, and you can move it between your different storage devices. So that's something to keep in mind as well. You can always try to use the hard drive on your external hard drive to see if that'll actually perform a little bit better than your standard storage. Now, if you are still experiencing problems from there, fortunately, there are still some more potential solutions for you. If you go into your system settings, this is mostly going to be for PlayStation Pro users. There's something called Boost Mode. Boost Mode, as it reads here, it improves your gameplay by giving it higher frame rates. You can turn this off to see if this is potentially bogging down your game as well, because it very well might be. Some people have reported that disabling HDCP actually helps them out. I kind of have my doubts about that one because this essentially, it's a security thing. So I don't think this is actually going to help you. This is something that I just have to turn off for the sake of using my capture card to record any sort of game footage. It won't work if HDCP is on. So that's why I have it off. I don't believe that that one is actually a fix. However, turning off boost mode could definitely give you some potentially better performance. Now, if you're still having issues from there, you can go into your sound and screen options in your settings. You can potentially take your resolution down to 720p. Now, the game's not going to look as pretty. However, if you limit the frame rate, or if you limit the resolution, this may potentially help you out, just because it's going to be less intensive on your system. So that's something else you can potentially try. You can turn off HDR if you do have that on. You can turn off deep color output. You can try super sampling mode as well. So these video output settings, these may help tweak your performance a bit as well. And those are essentially what I've come up with so far that will hopefully help out your performance even a slight bit with the game. Now with that, I should say, if you're running higher tier red maps, considering the different density of the enemies themselves, I think we're still going to struggle performance-wise on the PS4 almost no matter what. These are just some tips to hopefully help you get your game to the point where it's playable. I honestly wouldn't recommend playing hardcore right now because of, the random crashes, which under hardcore, for whatever, do seem to count as a death, which I don't agree with, but that's just how it works right now. So, I mean, play hardcore with caution because you may very well end up crashing and being sent right back down to Standard League. I commend those of you who do still play Hardcore League. You are braver than I am. So those are potential short-term fixes. Now, say these don't work. Say your game is still relatively unplayable, which may very well be the case. Some of these fixes seem to work for some and not for others. What do we do in the long term to help out the game in general? My suggestion would be reporting to the forums. As I had mentioned in the beginning of the video, if you look at the console forums, we don't get very many posts each day. So let's go ahead to feedback and suggestions. We can go to bug reports as well, but this will actually show us the last post that was made. So there's only been one post made all day today in console feedback and suggestions. So I mean, that's a little unfortunate. Let's go back to the forum index and we'll just kind of take a look at bug reports and see how many posts we've had in there today. So 3 threads. One's for the cyclone bug, and then these other 2 aren't even related to actual performance. They're just in-game bugs. So obviously people have been posting in here yesterday, but still, it's we're not getting very many posts in here. So the big thing that we need to do, and I believe this post actually mentions it. So the best thing that we can do is use our capture feature on our PlayStations. I don't know if Xbox has it. I would assume so. I'm assuming that both systems have pretty comparable features. Use the capture feature to grab some videos. Obviously, you're all here on YouTube, so you have YouTube pages. If you don't want your YouTube videos to be public, you can always list them as private when you're going ahead and uploading videos. It's on the PS4, it's literally just, hitting that share button, selecting where you want to share it to, and from there down in your options, you'll actually have the option where you can make it so it's unlisted and only people with a link to that video can see it, which would be perfect for something exactly like this. So it won't show up on your page, but you can share the link here on the forum, so that way the developers and other people can see exactly where you're crashing. So once you hit that blue screen, since PlayStation by default records at least the last 15 minutes of your gameplay, you can record exactly what you were doing and share it here on the forums. You can let them know what kind of platform you're using, whether it was a PlayStation 4, a PlayStation 4 Pro, an Xbox One, an Xbox One X, an Xbox One S, so that way they can see if they can pinpoint it to specific hardware. Your location, also very important, just in case it does have something to do with the server locations. Gateway, I don't think is nearly as important. Time, just kind of let them know the time of the day that the actual crash happened. Connection type, essentially whether you're on Wi-Fi or you're having a wired connection. You can let them know your internet service provider or, the speeds that you get through them. I don't think the actual internet has anything to do with it, just because I have relatively good internet, especially for where I live, and on days where I'm having connection issues with my internet, or if my internet's, at its peak performance, it doesn't really seem to be affecting how my Path of Exile is playing. The other thing I would probably include in here is, even though you're going to post that video link within your description of the problem on the forums, I'd probably also include what you were doing. So say I was in a tier 12 map and the game crashed on a tier 12 map, or I started getting desync and my cyclone wasn't hitting any enemies, or the game just got super laggy. So that way, potentially they can pinpoint, okay, so there's high monster density, they'll look at your video, they'll be like, okay, these are the modifiers that were on the map, and maybe one of these is affecting what's going on. Essentially, the more details that we can give them, the more that we can feed the developers, hopefully this will help improve the problem at some point. I know some of you are probably thinking, this isn't my responsibility, and you're right. It's not 100% ideal. Yeah, it's not ideal at all. But this is probably our best chance at some sort of resolution. It's unfortunate that it's not being seen as a larger issue, which is why I'm thinking and hoping that if we, kind of bring attention to the problem, it'll be seen as a bigger issue. It'll become a priority, because if so many people are struggling to play the game, even on higher tier maps, because nobody wants to just sit in the mid 80s, no one wants to sit in the early 90s. We want to progress all the way through. We want to kill Uber Elder. We want to, technically finish our game experience for the league. And that's something we should be able to do. I've heard from other people that PC is also having issues with the game, so it's not just us console players, apparently, which is a bit of a relief to hear. But at the same time, quiet mouths go unfed. So, go to the forums, speak up. The forums, super easy website to remember, www.pathofexile.com/forum. You can go ahead and actually, when you go to log in, I'll show you right here, you can actually sign in using your PS4 or Xbox One credentials. So you can sign in with Microsoft, or you can sign in with the PlayStation Network. So you don't actually have to create a forum account in order to be on the forums. You can simply use your console credentials. So something to keep in mind as well. Use that capture feature, hit those forums. If you're still having a problem after going through all of those troubleshooting steps, then something's clearly wrong. and the developers need to know about it. We need to be vocal, so that way they're not thinking, oh, it's just a few people having this problem. It's just the whole vocal minority thing. The more people who speak up, the more obvious it is that there's a problem. So, hopefully we can work together and we can be a solution to this problem, because otherwise, if we just sit and accept it, it's not going to be fixed anyways. So, just some food for thought. Again, I totally understand that this isn't necessarily like our responsibility to fix. However, if we can potentially help to fix the problem and, make what is a truly great game function properly and actually be more of an enjoyable experience to play, we kind of just owe it to ourselves and our player base and our community. So thank you guys again for watching. I hope those tips at the beginning of the video do end up helping out. As I had mentioned, that first tip, especially if that one helps you out, definitely shoot Kamal a thank you and go ahead and subscribe to his channel. He's got some awesome Path of Exile content on there. Thank you guys for tuning into this video. I definitely appreciate all the support I get from you guys. I was a little worried at how my last video would be received, given the fact that I was, kind of complaining about these performance issues the game's been having, and this game is probably about 95% of the content that I post on my channel. So to get that overwhelming support from you guys and have you guys relate and just be able to kind of talk about it, it honestly made me feel quite a bit better about the situation. And it was kind of nice to just talk about those things, which kind of inspired me to go in and just see if there are any quick fixes or quick, even small improvements. And then it, kind of inspired me to make this video to where, hopefully we can kind of work together to get this information out there and hopefully get some sort of resolution, because this game deserves to run well. We deserve for it to run well. Path of Exile has an awesome community. My page in particular, I think the community here is amazing, and I love having you guys here. So, I want this game to continue to grow, and I want it to thrive. And with the current performance issues, if they're not something that these small fixes in the beginning of my video can help out with, then we have to put it in the developers' hands and we have to let them run with it and really just hope for the best. So I will be streaming tonight. I hope to see you guys there, and until next time, may the RNG be with you always.